Good.
Yeah, I got the high. Figured out how to do it.
Slightly said like on the record. It's like, yeah, if you have intervals, he's never gonna do that. There was a guy.
Or did you just come back?
Very
Then it's fine, right? Okay. Yeah.
You could
There's
do
bad
that.
highlights.
Yeah.
Probably do like one play to show from them to show how they got.
Yes.
So bottom level, arc out. So if you're an arc out, obviously.
So it's that.
So, channel, she's coming out there, one season.
Yes. I like to sing all of this.
Five blocks.
Actually, Lori, I know she did it with her. She just did, yeah, I wasn't her first. She's like, who's get over? And so she's like, hey, my friend. And so we like all close the beard there. In the website, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, no, it's not 20.
Oh, it has. There you
Yes. I didn't know her by name. I'm not gonna lie. So I never, she's like, oh, just call me Auntie. So we all started calling
You
her.
might maybe it only works in Empire.
I wouldn't be really like, oh, Auntie, that's Johnny. She's like,
And then
promise she did not sail and we're like,
there you go.
yeah. Oh, really? Got out here doing those students, with the duck. She was back on the radio. Yeah. A lot of my friends do, PCA. Yeah.
About 47 school.
I was in the first one. The first right.
Oh, really? That's cool.
I love the guys that real. I can't love that.
Get to watch Friday. On TV.
My cat.
So, how you doing?
All right, Coach Gates is going to start with his opening statement before moving on to questions.
There's absolute credit that I'll give to South Carolina State, Coach Eric Martin. I knew that he would make it very difficult, just based off us being peer assistants throughout our careers, and then finally becoming head coaches. I know the DNA that he's cut from the cloth of Bobby Huggins, and what they do is try to dominate points in the paint, offensive rebounds, and the physicality. And that's how he played as a player. That's how he was able to be successful, and that identity showed. With that, we played 30 minutes of basketball. We didn't play the first 10 minutes of the game at all. We got down, I believe, 20-something to 6, I believe, and it's not okay. It's not okay at all. I'm not happy about it, nor am I excited about what we had to do to get to the point of winning the game. We dug ourselves a hole, but I want to credit our crowd. Our crowd, they showed up. I'm sure they brought a friend. It was unbelievable energy. Obviously, without our students here because of break, our crowd showed up, and I thank them for their excitement and getting us over that hump. But we dug a hole, and we had to get out of it.
I think kicking off that 30 minutes that you said there, I think there was a play where Aiden goes diving toward the baseline, saves the ball back. How much did that give you momentum? I think you went up and Connor ran over hit a corner. How much did that play right there?
Yeah, I'm proud of Aiden Shaw and what he's been able to do. Minus the little small mistakes which every player has, I credit a kid who is trying to do everything I'm asking him to do, regardless of what is popular or what is right. And highlights, yes, we love Aiden Shaw dunks, but I want to see him block shots. I want to see him rebound, and he was able to do that. And I think the satisfaction of doing those things will eventually allow him to have a long, successful career outside of college. The other thing is he's had 2 5-block games in 6 games. 2. He has to hang his hat on that, and I'm going to continue to push him toward that, because those intangibles, there's only a few people in America that can do that night in, night out, and he's one of them. He just has to be more consistent with it and show the world who he is. And Robinson was the other person who sparked that. His intangibles, whenever you're coached by a Heisman Trophy winner, a New York Knick, and a Major League Baseball player who got drafted, I guess just showing up to practice every day, you learn something. Now, Ant's a little stubborn. He don't know how good Charlie Ward was. He has no clue. but he was an unbelievable player, and I think some of that stuff that you see with Ant has rubbed off from Charlie, and obviously Mom doesn't play that on either of these two kids that's up here. They're probably the toughest, most critical people in the household. Miss Robinson and obviously Miss Shaw.
Aiden, what did flip in that stretch there? I think it started with about 8 minutes left, and it was the same 5 guys on the floor for the next 10 minutes. What kind of flipped with that group out there?
Really, we hunt EGBs. That's energy generating behaviors. That's just a key point for us. We've been working on that since I can remember when I got here. So us just focusing on what we need to do to generate energy, which was to generate energy, which was lacking the first couple minutes. We knew what we needed to do, and we got out there and just brought a spark.
And you came into the game in the second half around 16-38 mark. I mean, you guys were tied 39 all, and by the time you came out of the game, and you were up by almost 20. What were you looking to do in the handful of minutes, or what do you think you accomplished?
Just coming in and bringing that spark every day. Just being every day, just coming in, energy, just focusing on the little things, and everything will come. So just being out there, just trying to be everywhere on the court, just bringing that energy.
Dennis, you mentioned a lot steals, turnovers forced as a big thing. Does block shots, is that kind of a part of that? I think you guys set a school record with 12 tonight, and you've got 47 in 7 games.
Well, I don't think we had 12 all last season, did we? But it's the growth of the person that's sitting to my left. If he can dominate the verticality of basketball like his athleticism says he can and should, then that's going to show up for us. There's nobody that can out-jump him. I will be shocked if there's a person that can out-jump him. Now we have to tie 2 things together. The growth of his basketball IQ, obviously, the 2 sides of basketball, offense and defense, and then the other part of just trying and making the effort. There should not be a time where he isn't almost hitting his head on the backboard. If he's not doing that, then he's not playing hard. He's not running down shots. There shouldn't be a time. There shouldn't be a goaltend. I want him to get a goaltending because that means he's making block attempts. To be a shot blocker, you got to have some attempts and some alterations. And I'm sure there's many more alterations outside of these 5 that we can probably count. Those are the things that don't show up in the stat sheet. But ultimately, these guys' hearts are in the right place. And that's what I lean my head on them with. Sean East was a plus 34. Tamar Bates was a plus 21, and Aiden Shaw was a plus 18. When you have guys like that playing unselfishly and giving their very best, great things can happen. And that's what happened tonight.
Aiden, how much of what Coach Gates is talking about right now, how much of that do you think you showed tonight, and how far along do you think that part of your game's coming along?
Coach Gates has been preaching to me, rebound, block the ball since I've been here at Mizzou. So this year I've definitely been just more focused on it, more focused on just the rebounding and the blocking, and it's easier to focus on, a couple things than to think about a whole bunch of things. You know what I mean? So, it all makes sense, and it's working right now. So, bringing energy,
Coach, the young man sitting to your right picked up 3 quick fouls to start the second half, and you made the decision to leave them in, which ended up working out for you guys. What was your thought process behind that, and how important is it for you to leave young players in even after making mistakes?
Both of these guys are important to our future this season and otherwise. Ant's a hack. He fouls too much. He doesn't know how to play without fouling. So for young players who are used to using their hands at the high school level, you have to leave them in and almost embarrass them with a foul-out situation, and that's what he has to learn, because ultimately if he doesn't learn that, he's going to put himself in a bad spot, and that can put our team in a bad spot. I think Aiden Shaw has learned from that as well. Last season, you probably saw some of that with Aiden, who got into some foul trouble and didn't know it was a foul. Yeah, Aiden, that's a foul. But this year, his fouls are coming on illegal screens or something like that versus what they were last year. Again, the biggest thing is making sure that these guys are learning, growing, and taking in the lessons that the game each day is trying to teach them. They come to practice with their mind right. They come to practice with their spirits correct. They learn. They can take constructive criticism. And again, that starts at home. These kids aren't able to slack or not learn. They're always told the truth before I even got them, before their parents believed in me as their next head coach or partnering with them in their growth. So I credit their parents.
Coach, there was about a stretch where Connor Vanover had, I believe, like a steal, a block, and a three-pointer. What did you think about him tonight in this, fourth game in the Mizzou jersey?
Not good enough. It's not good enough. I expect more from Connor, and he knows that. I look at when I subbed him back in, and he gave up an offensive rebound. I look at him not blocking a shot when maybe a guy physically was trying to go through his chest. That's what I look at. And ultimately, he came away with 0 fouls. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. So I want him to continue to grow and get better in those situations and meet the expectations that I want him to have.
Coach, some teams might fold whenever they get down by 16, but on 2 separate occasions, you guys have rallied back from 16 plus. Just what do you think that says about this team?
Well, I don't like being in that situation. I'll tell you that. But it builds character. The game is a 40-minute game. There's a lot of highs and lows. And what it says is that adversity is coming, but ultimately, who are we? What's our character when we get in these situations? These guys hadn't panicked. They ultimately just started to talk about one possession at a time, so they minimize the big picture when the stress comes and just make sure they're able to get through those emotional things that can distract them or put them in quicksand. They listening a little bit more into the coaches' scouting reports or the little details of the game. And what I've seen is these guys have connected even closer in those moments when their back has been against the wall. Now, the question is, can we control that and just flip the switch, or do we have to wait to get down 10, 20 in another situation? That's the identity of growth. We're in that process. We're not completely through it. So we're still in the process of trying to figure out who we are. We got to make a decision on which team. Do we want to be the responsive team, or do we want a team to initiate that physicality, that focus that got us out the dumps?
Dennis and had a recorded stat in every category except for a turnover tonight. I mean, what did you see from him, and what did he show you the most?
See, that last play was a turnover on Ant. It shows up for Sean, but that was a turnover on Ant. And he knows that, and when you said that statement, he probably looked like, oh, man, that was on me. But what I see is this. I see from both of these kids, I see guys able to fill every category in the stat sheet. The ball, it's not about when the ball goes in the basket. It's not about that. These guys' future is going to be determined based off the other things in between the dash, in between the field goal attempts, what's happening, in between the steals or the turnovers, what's happening. I want them to be able to hold their head high if they're making a mistake. If they make a mistake, they're not trying to. I want them to continue to give the effort, maximize their potential, and make sure they continue to work every day. Both of them, after every home game, have been in the weight room. Every home game, they try to go to the weight room. They try to go get shots. You should see them during the week. Some shoot 3-4 times a day. In addition to doing their homework, going to study hall, doing community service. So I just think when you train and you prepare a young man for life, the game will come easier. But if you just prepare him for a game, then life will become difficult. I want these guys to continue to learn the life lessons. And then obviously what tonight was is when your back is against the wall, who are you going to be? What adversity will you fight? How unselfish are you willing to be? Are you willing to give more when you think you're tired? Are you willing to just take one more step or run one more lane? That is the biggest question. They're young in their careers, but I'll tell you one thing. The youth is erased if you play hard.
One last question to Gabe.
Dennis, correct me if I'm reading this wrong, but tonight you seem a little more maybe focused on what needs to improve in the first 10 minutes maybe than the last 30. Is that a reflection of the expectation that you have for this team?
I have a high expectation for our program. I'm not happy about the first 10 minutes at all. I will probably watch the first 10 minutes of the game probably for the next probably 10 times before I move to the second part of the first half. I think when you try to look from the lens of a giraffe, right? I have to see everything, but also I got to shrink to the turtle. I got to be able to get in the trenches with these guys and kind of put myself in their perspective, and then try to, again, be a giraffe and try to see what it is that I'm missing. Is it a lineup, right? Is it something else? What is it that does not allow or didn't allow us tonight, because every day is different, to get ahead versus behind? Some teams will put their foot on our throat and not let us come back. Some situations are different, but the ultimate part is we're learning, we're in the infant stages, and I want to, obviously say this is probably the most animated I've been on the sidelines, the most animated, and that's just what was needed. I had to challenge some referees on some calls. I had to challenge our players. I had to challenge the game a little bit, and I had to obviously let them know who we were, who I was. You probably saw who I was tonight based off how I am in practice. And I ultimately take a step back, allow these guys to play. But when it's in disarray like it was, I have to step in and do my job and ultimately get it back on track. And I thought we was off track, and I credit our guys for getting back on track, because it's not easy, especially when I get in that mode of demanding certain things to be a certain way. Aiden Shaw probably is like, man, coach, you didn't stay, you kept telling me, yes, absolutely, because that's my expectation of him. I want him to block every shot. I don't care how tired he is or how tired he think he is, because ultimately he can't get where he wants to go by himself. A pat on the back is 2 inches away from a kick on the butt. And I want these guys to understand, yeah, we won a great game against Minnesota. It's over with. We lost a tough game based off our 2-minute drill against Jackson State. And I credit them. They did a great job. And tonight we dug ourselves a hole. So rather, it doesn't matter who we're playing. The biggest opponent is ourselves. The person in the mirror is the biggest opponent. And we got to continue to conquer that person.
All right, thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. Y'all have a blessed and safe travels. To all our students, fans, travel safely during this holiday season. Tell somebody you hadn't told that you love them. I love you. I love you guys. Thank you.